How long does it take to go to court after you've been arrested for drink driving? Well, there's no easy answer for that, because depending on how complex your case is, if your case is a straightforward drink driving case, it could take a number of months. It might be until the next year. That's because in 2020, when COVID hit, it pushed about 100,000 cases from 2020 into 2021. So 2021's courts are trying to deal with the backlog from last year. So it could take some period of months. That's if it's proceeding by way of summons. If you've been arrested and if you've been charged, well, then the process will come into court very soon, within a couple of weeks. But if you haven't been charged after you've been released from custody, that means it will be a summons, and that summons may take 6, 8 or 10 months before it gets to you. So it could be a number of months yet, and during that period you're entitled to drive. How to get out of a drink driving charge in Ireland? There's no way of getting out of it. If you've been arrested for drink driving and you've given a breath, blood or urine sample and they come back over the prescribed limit, you will be prosecuted for that in court. There is no specific defence under law which would allow you to escape a prosecution. There's no specific defence understood by the courts, such as the special reasons defence that they can use in limited circumstances in the UK, where perhaps you've moved the car from point A to point B and that distance is very, very short. That's a special reason perhaps why you shouldn't be disqualified. There is no special reason defence in Ireland, so there's no specific defence to that. It requires you going through the evidence fairly fine detail with your solicitor to see whether or not any procedural error has taken place, but there's no specific defence, I'm afraid. Drink driving statistics, Ireland. In the UK, about 95% of people arrested for drink driving are convicted. It's a very, very high conviction rate. It's almost 100%. That's in the UK. Here in Ireland, it's a good deal lower. It's about 64-65% of people who are prosecuted for drink driving are convicted. That means about 35-36% of people who are prosecuted are not convicted. And these are people who demonstrably must have been over the limit, and in many cases were very much over the limit, but they weren't convicted for a whole bunch of different reasons, and perhaps the evidence wasn't good enough, or perhaps a witness didn't turn up, or some piece of documentary evidence went missing, or something like that. But there's proportionally a better chance of succeeding in Ireland than in the UK, yes. What happens in court for drink driving? Well, what usually happens is drink driving or drug driving is a 3-day process, generally speaking. There's the first day the case comes into court, and on that day the case then is adjourned for between 4 and 6 weeks to allow the guards to send to your solicitor all the statements, all the reports, all the documents connected to your case to your solicitor. And the case generally is adjourned from on the first day to about 4 to 6 weeks to allow that process to take place. And on the second day then, the judge will ask, based on having reviewed the evidence with your solicitor, whether you intend to plead guilty or not guilty. If you intend to plead guilty, you can deal with the case right there and then on the second day. But if you intend to enter a plea of not guilty and seek a trial date, there'll be a further third day assigned for the case. So on that third day, your trial will take place.